All right. Caught up. Got my last year all taken care of yesterday. Bunch of other stuff done. And I am almost ready to leave. To go catch my first marlin. Also, it's cool. I'm going to be, I got to charge up my batteries. I'm going to be filming up a lot of content to help my buddy make some, what do you call it, promotional videos for his charter business. He's such a super cool dude. And he's the old school. He's not, like, just not familiar with the internet or how to promote stuff or make posts or anything. And he's probably the best fisherman I've ever met in my life. So I always try to do what I can to help promote him. So it's trophyhuntersportfishing.com. And I'm going to make some wicked, hopefully, underwater and above water drone videos of marlin and tuna while we're there. I hope it works out because it's pretty tough, right? But so that's all I got left to do. It's got to charge up all those batteries, make sure my SD cards are all ready to go, my chargers, my camera equipment. We head down there, utilize that credit. The damned airline, those thieves. Anyway, got to get some more voices heard while I'm here. I'm going to try to do this down there. We'll see. And what else? Anybody curious about me heading south to go learn from our favorite doctor and other people? We spoke, and it's probably not looking... I will be able to go there until March on their end. All right? So there you go. For anybody curious about that. And what I learn, I will definitely report back to everything. And hopefully it goes smooth. All right? And also, as soon as I get back, we're definitely going to do a part 2 with Dr. Melba Ketchum as well, because I have a whole slew of other questions for us to ask her. So there you go. That's my ramble for the beginning of this one. Now, hopefully this camera works for me this morning. With my... Sarah said there's blood on my hat. Oh well. It's my new lucky hat. This is titled From Your Sasquatch. Shot dead by 2. From your video. Sasquatch shot dead by 2. Oh, it's this one. Yeah. Yeah, that was... That's been sent a few times. It's pretty crazy. If you look, I don't know, whatever side, you can see what appears to be what looks like a face of what was described as a Sasquatch in the mountain. See that? It's pretty crazy, right? That's on Mount Curry behind me. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. had that scent a bunch of times. Funny, eh? All right, now, who's this? What do we got? What answers are we getting today? Or more patterns, right? Possible origin story. This is the only way I know of to contact you, and I apologize for clogging up your inbox, but this could be an important puzzle piece. All right. Excuse me. Billy Carson has theories of Earth from thousands of years ago, from the pyramids in Egypt and others around the world, to entities that possibly seeded the Earth and may still run the world. While listening to a few of his conversations, he was asked about early humans. He theorizes that those who came here from wherever used the existing species here and modified them to create what we are today. When describing the original species, he speculates that they were probably very hardy, probably were able to communicate through telepathy, were probably much more in tune with their intuition, and had abilities that we've lost, or maybe never had. As he describes our ancestors, it appeared to me that he was giving all the characteristics of what we know as a Sasquatch. I'm not saying I agree with all his theories, though much of what he says makes sense to me, and his answer about the original species sounded to me exactly like what so many others have said about the forest people. I realize we're all short on time, but if you have the opportunity to listen to a podcast, he has some interesting things to say. All right, I'll dig that up and listen to it for sure. And it's a goofy thing, I've been thinking about this for quite some time, is the fact that of the majority of the people who I'm aware of, who are aware of this shit going on, I rarely do I hear people expressing their frustration or being upset that we're being lied to. Have you noticed that? And I know that out of these, 300 and whatever thousand subscribers here, I wonder how many of you that know, you've seen this shit. You've seen these suckers looking them right in the eye, running across the road, whatever. All of you out there who know. I wonder how many of you, your brain goes to, why are we being so lied to? You know what I mean? And especially at way back, years back, when I did surf the interweb or books from the original people who were looking into this topic, I never ever read or heard from anybody of those people in the Sasquatch community expressing their frustration about us being lied to. Very rare. Why is that? Right? Why is that? Because, you got to agree by now, I'd imagine, that of all these thousands of testimonies we're hearing here, word for word, probably for the first time, possibly, because of the past people trying not to let people share the exact honest truth of the things they're witnessing publicly. That's the dog chewing on her morning bone out there, the noise up there. It is quite apparent that there is a big effort to keep this under wraps as well as a lot of other things under wraps from us. And it's a frustrating thing to watch us. I don't know how to describe it smoothly, to deliver it smoothly yet. I'll figure it out in a minute. My brain usually goes in these little tangents, right? But it's kind of like, why is it so hard for us to accept real truth? That's the frustrating part that I am witnessing and watching. It's on average, it's so hard for human beings to accept honest truth. Not just this topic, but a lot of other ones. It's so bizarre to watch. Who the hell are we? Like, who are we? What are we doing here? For real? Are we really just here to be these drones? You know what I mean? It's frustrating to watch, and I know that not too many people are going to be able to relate what I'm trying to deliver right now, because I don't hear too many complaining about being lied to and misled and not told the truth. On average, right? Don't you think that there seems to be the majority of the people are just more interested in banging on a tree and trying to get a picture of something? You know what I mean? I'm probably not making any sense. I better keep reading. One day I'll sit down and think about my thoughts before expressing them, and then it'll be a little more smooth. Now this is titled, Fear Me. Hello, I've been a big fan of your channel and the Bigfoot content you have shared for a little while now. Before, I'd never heard anything about the topic or had any experiences. I'm just a fellow hunter, interested in all things that make up the forest. Well, that all changed about 2 weeks ago. Oh, I wonder when this is sent in. Excuse me. While riding my dirt bike in the Rocky Mountains, Colorado, I saw something flash out of the corner of my eye. I was going about 30 miles per hour at this time, so there wasn't much of a chance to see what it was at first glance. But as soon as I got ready to stop and try and figure it out, I got this sudden rush of fear and just felt the need to get the F out of there. So, of course, I took off as fast as I could and never looked back for miles. It wasn't the flash of fur I saw or the situation that terrified me. I spent a good bit of my life in those mountains, hunting, fishing, and camping, you name it. So I knew that this wasn't something I'd ever come across before. I still sit here wondering why I got this feeling, but whatever it was, did not want me there. And it instilled the worst fear in me I've ever felt. And I never even saw the damn thing. To sum it up, there was someone or something there that day that put that fear in me. I felt its presence and anger towards me without even seeing its face. I'm not saying there's Bigfoot out there that day, but I don't know of any other living creature on this planet that can do that to a man. If you get this email, please feel free to share. I just ask that you leave my name out. All right, did you write it in? No, you didn't. All right, well, I don't know when you sent that in, but that's a pattern, a very strong pattern here among the people. All right? So, at this point of the game, it's safe to say, roughly, you know what it was. So what we are trying to come to terms with until we possibly get the direct answers from the source, which maybe it might happen. So far, it's either somebody or something watching out for us, or it's our internal skills and instincts that are doing that to us, or it's something that's right there at that time doing it to us. It's one or the other, nothing else, right? It's looking like it's probably these beings. So far, I'm thinking maybe we're going to find out. I am absolutely confident we're going to find out. Now, next one, there's no title. Live show was excellent. Looking forward to the podcast. The Trudeau comment was deadly. I couldn't agree more. Okay, this is going to be a few years ago. That was after the first time I did the live. I had a couple of encounters when I was younger and spent my entire life sharing these encounters and getting ridiculed. A close friend of mine who once laughed at my story recently shared a story with me. This story took place September 2010 or 2011. A group that he was with was harvesting an outdoor grow show operation on Hardwick Island, just off the east coast of Vancouver Island near Seward. The grow operation was a 30-minute hike from the beach. I read this a few years ago, and I'm this deep, and it's not a long one. I'm going to continue. There's probably 200,000 new subscribers here since I read this. He was cleaning up all the garbage from the recently harvested area. The group he was with took off down to the boat before him. He finished bagging up all the garbage and started making his way down the trail to the boat. He was probably 15 to 20 minutes from the boat when a large 9-foot male walked onto the trail in front of him, stopped and stared at him from about 40 feet. He told me the Sasquatch was more human than ape, with dark eyes, dark brown hair, and looked at him with an evil, angry stare. He felt the look was telling him to leave and leave now. The Sasquatch walked back into the bush, opposite direction from where it came from. And my... Whoa! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Well, Ruby just found a rat trap. You're all right. Whoops. You're okay, Bubs. At least it wasn't hanging off of her nose. All right. Sorry. He told me the Sasquatch was more human than ape, with dark eyes, dark brown hair, and looked at him with an evil, angry stare. He felt the look was telling him to leave and leave now. The Sasquatch walked back into the bush opposite direction from where it came from, and my friend had no choice but to walk in the same direction and pass through the same area to make his way back to the boat. He blacked out from fear on the trip back to the boat. Needless to say, this experience completely changed him, and he apologized for laughing me off when we were younger. There you go. I don't know if you're still watching the channel, man, but if you are, I'm curious to know exactly what he meant by blacking out from fear. Does that mean he lost his memory of what happened? Or did he physically go and wake up again? Be interesting to hear that, right? Another thing too. So we have basically somewhat have had confirmation in a way, confirmation verbally from somebody that we weren't there, right, when they're gathering information. That, yes, definitely human beings are seeking some of these beings out and killing them. So if that's the case, then that should back up, have an explanation for why we get looked at with hatred. But it doesn't make sense either, though. So if I'm a very intelligent being, and I do know that there's a group of human beings with the technology, they can track my ass down and eliminate me and my family members, why would I just blatantly stand in front of a human being on the trail and expose myself and let my presence be known? See what I'm saying? It's something's a little off there for some type of person that is absolutely intelligent, knows that if they don't keep their location and their presence absolutely concealed, that they run a high threat of being eliminated from possibly, allegedly, a group of humans who have the technology to pull that off. And if that's the case, and like I've stated numerous times, humans are the easiest animals to avoid, period. So why do they keep exposing themselves like that if there is a group of humans eliminating them, right? That's a little confusing for me until I find out. Which I'm going to find out. Dogman in Temple, Texas. Second email. Let's email this one. Hi, Steve. You asked to have my friend email you about his encounter with the beast at over 2 minutes of visual view of the dog man who was chasing a small deer. My friend doesn't speak English at all, which is the reason why I'm interpreting his encounter. So, with your okay, here's the rest of the story. My friend Miguel came here from Mexico about 10 years ago and lives on the street east called Ave H in Temple, Texas. He was pulling into his driveway early down. He noticed some motions across the street on the football field, which is open and has no big stands. The stands don't block his view in the open field. At first, he didn't believe what he was looking at. No punctuation. And it took a couple of seconds to see what it was. Yes, he doesn't know what it was. The dogman came in view. He saw a creature with the head of a wolf with long arms and a large tongue hanging out of the mouth, gray and black and evil looking. He was chasing a small deer. It looked like they were playing football, but he said he didn't know what to do. Call the cops or take his 12-gauge shotgun that he carries in the truck and go shoot the big 8 to 9 foot tall monster. The dogman picked up the deer in his mouth and ran with the deer into the woods that surrounded the soccer and softball plus football field. He remembers going to the house and he locked the doors, got his pistol. He couldn't sleep. So he went from window to window checking for this bitch to come back. He looks for the beast time to time when he came home. What? He looks for the beast time from time when he comes home at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 days a week, but he's not seen it yet. But he knows something's out there in the woods, and it ain't good. Sorry, buddy, I'm not T.O. Steve, there's a story. I hope I got it right. Happened last March 2022. Again, keep up the great work, and remember, you're the man. Thank you, from Ray and Miguel. All right, thanks for that Email man, Temple, Texas. Dogman sighting. Chasing a deer. It's kind of funny. There's so many deer in the south. You would think that if it ran out in the open where humans are like that, then whatever is pursuing it, who prefers to keep its presence unknown, wouldn't go out. Right? Kind of like near Mount Curry, where I used to live. And my friend's neighbor reported that mountain goat showing up in the front yard, panting like a frickin' dog, would not leave the front yard out in the open, and something big and dark was standing inside the timber. It wouldn't come out. That's what you would think they would do instead of blatantly chasing a deer into a football field. But I guess maybe these dogman things, maybe they're not so intelligent. Some of them. Don't know. Here's another one hunting. The interrupted Sasquatch deer hunt. Title this email. Hi, Steve. This is a long one, so get some coffee. I'm in. I already have my coffee. This took place in July 2013 in an area just outside of Ashford, Washington, in the foothills of Mount Rainier. We were there on a campout with several other people. On Friday afternoon, several of us went on a hike, walking up an old grade road, which was being overtaken by alder trees. Along this road, about 7 foot high, were twigs that were snapped all in the same direction and same height. This road came out to a clearing, where on one side of the ravine was an old clear cut. There's a small creek that ran between the two hillsides. There was a fire trail that paralleled the clear cut along old growth timber, which was the side we were on. Being the hunter that my boyfriend is, he suggested that we come back up later that night to look for deer or elk. There were 3 of us that went back up there that evening, myself, my boyfriend, and another man. We were all dressed in camo, being that the fire trail was clear of brush, and we were able to make our way to the top without making a lot of noise. We settled in, sitting facing the clear cut with the big timber at our back. It was about 9 p.m. There was a slight breeze coming from our left. It was still light out, being summer in Washington. It stays lighter longer, so we could see the hillside across from us. As we were sitting, we could hear what sounded like rocks or boulders rolling in the creek below us. There were various sounds of sticks breaking. As darkness started, a large military plane flew in from our left through the canyon so low that we could have hit it with a slingshot. If this has anything to do with what was about to take place, I don't know. That was a strange coincidence. It was about 9:30 at this time. To our left, a deer came running into the clear cut, blowing as it does when it wins something, which wasn't us as we were downwind from her. By now, it was close to dark, so we were unable to see the deer. We could hear the deer moving across the clear cut in front of us, which on a straight line would be approximately 125 yards. As it was moving, it was continually blowing. While we were watching and listening, we could hear sticks breaking to the left and right of us. At our 10 o'clock area was an ice blue light flash, and another at our 4 o'clock area. Chatter was heard in the 10 to 12 o'clock area. While we were observing all of this, the deer was ping-ponging back and forth across the clear cut, as though it was being corralled. A little foggy this morning. We figured there was 4 or 5 Sasquatch on the hillside to catch this deer. At about 10 o'clock, the other man let out a loud howl. Immediately following his howl was a response from the clear cut in the 4 o'clock area with a loud return howl and crashing into the bush. Then about 40 yards below us along the creek was 3 loud heavy stops. Must have meant stomps. And coming up the game trail about 20 yards from us was a large, dark figure that seemed to be gliding, no sound and moving very fast to our right. After this, everything went quiet in the clear cut. The deer ran off over the other side of the hill. Feeling like we had messed something up, we decided that it was best we leave this area. It was about 10:30. The next morning, we went back to the area in the clear cut to find where the deer had been running back and forth, along with 2 large footprints measuring 12.5 inches and the other at 15.5 inches and leaving an impression of 3.5 inches. Flagging ribbon was put on the trees in the area of the tracks. We went back to our vantage point, where we were the night before, to discover these tracks were in the area of the chatter and the blue light. The following weekend, my boyfriend, my daughter, and myself went back to camp in the same area. No way. Not too many people would have done that. That evening, we hiked up to our vantage point that we sat at the weekend before. Looking through our binos, our flagging ribbons were no longer on the trees. We sat for maybe half an hour before feeling like we were being watched from behind, and a very uneasy feeling, so we left the area. Included in this email is the other man's report, which was written down the evening and day after our exciting event. He has more detail into the timeline and our activity, which all comes into play. This we will never forget. We had several other encounters, which will come in another email. Until then, thanks for sharing. Vic and Maynell, Tanina, Washington. Kevin, Spokane. Okay, here we go. Excuse me. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Kevin's report, July 31st, 2013. Members involved, Victor, Maynell, and Kevin. Clothing, each of us in camo. Weather, hot day, clear skies, barely a breeze out of the west, not blowing across the canyon. Moon has been almost full, but not up in the sky during this time. Victor's plan, watch wildlife movement before sunset. After dark, do Sasquatch calls. We had been to the spot earlier in the afternoon, and because of the terrain, we thought more time should be spent there. Lay of the land, on east/west running canyon with a basin to the west, creek in the bottom. Our observation spot is above a game trail with deer tracks at angles down to the creek. We look across at opposite canyon hillside, approach along an old fire break trail. The trail was free of deadfalls and brush, so allowed for quiet walking. Timeline, we arrived a little after 9 p.m. We heard a couple small rocks rolling at our 12 o'clock position. 9:33. At our 11 o'clock, a deer started blowing over the next 10 minutes. The deer moved east to our 1 o'clock, then acted confused and began circling, going up and down, back and forth in maybe a half an acre area, blowing the entire time. The temperature was dropping and became very dark. 10:06 p.m. I did a loud, long Sasquatch howl toward the basin and ending to our 12 o'clock. We immediately heard our 2 o'clock, heavy crashing, thumps, followed by a howl. I did 2 whoops in that direction, paused, 2 more whoops. Deer totally confused, moving back and forth. Then it started northeast over the ridge at our 2 o'clock. Maynell did 2 wood knocks and paused. 1 more repeat, same sequence of knocks. Deer came back towards us to the area where it was first circling. I did 3 to 4 whoops. Victor saw a small light on the hillside at our 2 o'clock. I did another long, loud howl. Chatter heard from area of small light. The chatter was short in length and fairly high-pitched. Repeat of chatter, same location. Maynell did 2 wood knocks. Chatter now at our 12 o'clock. Maynell did 2 wood knocks. Deer still blowing. Made way toward location where chatter was first heard, but went up the hill and over the ridge. We heard 2 dull wood knocks at our 12 o'clock. I did another howl to the east, then Victor heard soft crunching. Working on our side of the stream below us on a game trail, Victor and Maynell caught a glimpse of a dark shadow to the right, no particular direction or movement to the shadow. Victor said, "Let's leave, turn on red headlamps, and go on fire break trail." It's 10:30 p.m. Went on the trail. I said, "That was fast and furious." Victor said what Sasquatch, were doing was hunting the deer. Possibilities discussed at the meeting: bear don't hunt that way, cougar don't hunt that way, wolves and coyotes, they would chase the deer. Deer stayed in the area for a long time. acting confused. The next day, we crossed the creek and went the hillside directly across from our observation point. At approximately 125 yards from our observation point, 2 Sasquatch tracks were found. 12.5-inch track was in gritty, sandy, tiny chipped rock soil. It had enough impression to make the track visible, but we had no indentation in the soil. The ball of the foot and the big toe of the 15.5-inch track cut into the side of a mound of soil, so it measured 3.5 inches deep. At that point, our assessment, we believe there were at least 4 Sasquatch in a coordinated deer hunt. To the location of the first heard chatter, they were pushing or driving deer. Another Sasquatch low on the opposite hillside at our 1 to 2 o'clock, and 4th at our 2 o'clock, but further away as it turned the deer back toward us. My final thoughts. Throughout my years of hunting and outdoor activities, I've never heard of deer blowing so long and not leaving the area. I've never heard a deer stay in one spot and be so confused. It seemed as if it was corralled. It could not find an escape route until my howls turned the attention of the Sasquatch toward us. I feel the Sasquatch either did not like the intensity of my howl, or they thought I was another Sasquatch intruding and interrupting their deer hunt. I think they did not know we were there, or they thought we had left because we were silent for about an hour before the first howl. Thanks again, Steve. There you go. Careful what you ask for, right? Careful what you ask for. You know, one thing, red. This is red. Sorry. That's red. That's red. All right. Excuse me. On the deer hunting thing, a lot of people claim to have come up on and interrupted their Sasquatch hunt, and it's a coordinated hunt, and there's circling, surrounding, and herding. For me, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but for me and what I'm learning from all the people, eyewitness accounts, and what I know about hunting, it just doesn't make sense to me that these beings would need to go to that extreme hunt tactics to try to get a deer. Just doesn't make sense to me. Right? 4 or more of these beings trying to corral one deer just doesn't make sense. I mean, there's too much game out there on average, and what these beings can do, it just sounds too primitive of a move that doesn't mesh up with the intelligence and the skills of these beings. It doesn't. Having to herd one deer and 4 people trying to gang up and herd and corral a deer when they can do what we know they can do, doesn't add up, right? It doesn't add up. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It was a coincidence that deer was there and it just went out in the open for security. Dunno. Anyway. There you go. Sounds like you guys are looking for trouble to me. Anyway, hopefully you don't get it. All right, who's next? What do we got? All right, this is titled. It's titled Red. 2 unexpected holy shits of encounters from the UK. Here we go again from the UK. Hi, Steve. I hope you and all on the channel are well. I came across your YouTube channel a few months back, and I must say, after many years of interest in this Sabe and other matters you relate on your channel, I've finally found a place where like-minded people can share their experiences without being ridiculed, or, quite frankly, dismissed with a laugh. You found it. You found your people. Bingo. Without a doubt. With the vast multitude of evidence, encounters, etc. over the decades, even centuries, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind these beings exist, and have done so for a very long time. My interest started, no doubt you watched the episodes, Steve, watching the $6 Million Man in the 70s, the episode with Bigfoot. Then sometime after, I watched the old classic Legend of Boggy Creek, which absolutely tore me a new one, petrified me. From that day on, I was hook, line, and sinkered. In those days, we did not have the luxury of the internet, etc., so we relied upon TV and newspaper bullshit, of which in the UK was virtually non-existent for such topics. Plus, if you firmly believed in these topics and aired your beliefs, you would have most likely ended up in a padded room over here, or friendless. Yeah, no doubt. And I vaguely remember the $6 Million Man episode, and I remember it did scare the shit out of me. Don't know why, but I didn't watch the Boggy Creek one. Moving on to the encounters. This email is twofold, explaining two experiences I've had. One in 1985, when I was 14 years old, and the other was in January of this year, 2023. Oh, this is a recent email. Winter, January 85 in the evening. 5 of my friends and I decided to take a ride out on our BMX bikes up to the forest approximately 3 miles from our homes in northeast Wales, UK. It was snowing. There was a new road being constructed through the forest, so we rode down the road and stopped. The forest was up an embankment 100 feet from where they had cut the road through the hill. So we left our bikes and scrambled up to the forest edge where there was a 5-foot post and rail fence. We all climbed into the trees, which were pine, quite dense, but enough space between to run around, so we decided to have a game of hide and seek about 50 yards in. 2 teams of 3, and if you were caught, you were pelted with snowballs. After a few games and a few red swollen ears, we sat in a small clearing and talked for a short time. And that's when we heard it from a distance away through the trees at, I guess, 200 yards. However, trees diffuse sound, so this creature, or whatever it was, could have been a lot closer. I've never even to this day heard anything like it, and I've spent a lot of time in the wilderness of this country. The only way I can explain that it was like a huge gorilla roaring with a sore throat, but not quite as guttural. It started out pretty quiet, but getting louder every few seconds, coming straight at us at speed. You could see pretty clearly as the snow gave some light to the night, and nothing was moving in the forest, just this petrifying noise coming at us. It sounded like it was 50 yards away. So as you can imagine, we effing hauled ass out of there. Literally drove through the fence, down the slope, onto our bikes, and pedaled for our lives. When we eventually stopped on a lane a half mile around the other side of the forest to catch our breath, my friend Paul kicked an empty Coke can that was on the roadside into the edge of the forest. Idiot, I know, and as we were just about to set off home, the effing Coke can flew back out of the forest onto the road. And that just tipped us over the edge. We went home as quick as we could pedal. After a week or so, this occurrence/encounter, we rode down the road again, this time in the daytime, and stopped on the road level with the fence. It was 100 feet up the slope where we entered the tree line previously. There on the top rail of the fence, 5 feet up, exactly where we had entered, was a dead fox slumped over the top. Head and front end over one side, back end over the other. It had been completely twisted and snapped in half. Only its skin around its midriff holding it on there. Explain that one. And that remained there until it rotted some months after, because the road opened for traffic soon after, and every time my mother took me shopping with her, I noticed it for ages. And she kept saying, "Why do you keep looking up there every time we pass?" And I would just pacify her. The guys and I never spoke about it to this day, 2 of which live within 500 yards of my home, and I see them every day. Encounter number 2. While carp fishing on my syndicate in Shropshire, England in January of this year for the weekend, I had to visit a shop a few miles away to top up a few bits. I've been at the lake since the Friday, and it was now late Saturday afternoon. On my arrival back to the lake from the shop, I parked up, closed the 6-foot mesh otter gate/fence, which encircles the whole 20 acres, and made my way back to my fishing spot. I stopped off at my friend's spot 50 yards from mine, sat with my back to the otter fence, which was 8 feet behind me, running parallel along the back of the lake. We talked for a short time. As it started turning dusk, my friend Steve was facing me talking. Then mid-sentence, he stopped, froze, looking over my right shoulder. The hairs stood up on my neck, as they do, LOL. I turned my head around over my right shoulder to whatever Steve was looking at, and right there, 8 feet behind me was a massive panther / black cat. Crouch, walking in stalk mode behind the auto fence, approaching level with us. I stood up and turned around fully, and with 3 huge leaps, it was up to speed. It must have been literally 40 to 50 miles per hour, and shot off down the track and disappeared up the field. We were both speechless for 30 seconds. And then I said to Steve, "Did you see what I just saw?" And he replied, "Yep." I said, "What do you think it was?" He said, "The same as you." We reported this encounter to the farm owner due to the potential livestock issues and told all the other anglers on the lake, some of which laughed. Usual shit. But we saw what we saw 1,000,000%. 2 years prior to that, I was on another spot on a different lake, but on the same complex. 10:30 p.m. on a Saturday night in winter, just about to settle into my bivvy for the night. I heard the deepest guttural snarl / growl coming from behind the otter fence in a ditch. This instantly gave weight to our encounter a few months back, and this animal has been stalking around that fishery sometime. And then more recently, only 2 weeks ago on April 23rd, there was multiple sightings around North Wales and Shropshire. I feel somewhat blessed and humbled to encounter such an amazing animal, but I'm not sure I would fare up against an 8-foot-tall, 700-pound hair-covered being, excuse me, if I ever encountered one. Apart from my ex-wife, no pun intended. We're quite lucky here in the UK. There are very few potential dangerous animals apart from the aforementioned. Oh, and some human beings. Be safe out there, folks. Appreciate you taking the time, reading this to all, Steve. Wish you and all the very best. And keep digging your heels in, guys, against these tyrannical bastards. Right there with you. Regards, SI, North Wales. P.S. If you ever pop over to our world, get in touch. Okay, man. Appreciate that. The black cat. I've heard about that in the UK. There's been a lot of reports of these things in the UK. And I actually spoke about it one time, suggesting, because I know a lot of guys who are masters at their craft with locating and treeing cougars, mountain lions here in British Columbia, especially here on the island. I got a couple of real good friends who are like, I've never done it. I've never gone once. I don't know why. But apparently when you do, apparently it's quite addictive and exciting. Don't know. But and these houndsmen, they have a bunch of these dogs. They're expensive and they're well trained and they know what they're doing. And I always wondered what would happen. Be like, okay, what would it take? What would it happen? How would you do it to possibly get some of these guys who have literally years of expertise chasing down and treeing wild cats, and see if maybe possibly they could go over to the UK and catch one of these things, right? Or is it not your average cat, right? How did it get there? How come so many people are seeing this cat? I think I've seen a couple of photos, in the past, of these big black cats in the UK. Or is it something that's coming and going, not here full time, right? I wonder how big was it exactly? If you're still watching, how big was this cat, do you think? Do you think it was? That'd be interesting to know that description, right? That might help answer the question about whether it's just a normal species we're familiar with that's there, or is it something that's coming and going? You never know, right? You never know. Who's next? I don't know when this is sent in, but we're going for it. Excuse me. Titled A Bigfoot. I tried several times to email you. Steve, I'm sending this again. I found you on YouTube. My name is Melissa. Born and raised on Whidbey Island here in the Pacific Northwest. 55 years old. My experience was when I was 13. Back then there was less people. A lot less. We lived on a dead-end dirt road about a half a mile or so. I didn't like that road much. We had to walk it in the dark to catch the bus in the winter months. Our driveway came down off the dirt road and past the front of our house, which we shared with a neighbor. From our kitchen, we could see the long dirt road, maybe 20 yards away. I was doing the dishes, It was a sunny day, and I wanted to hurry and get the chore done so I could go outside. We lived on a 6-acre farm, and there was lots to do. I looked out the window past our driveway to see a big, hairy creature walking fast. He had a big walking stick, hair covering his entire body. His hair was medium red and brown in color, and he had what looked like a deer hide vest covering his upper body. Call me crazy, but that's exactly what I saw. He turned and looked at me, but somehow I wasn't afraid. He disappeared out of my view quickly. This sounds familiar, but I'm going for it anyway. I didn't tell anyone back then. No one would believe me. Oh, hell, even now when I tell it, I get the look. As a kid growing up on the farm, it always felt safe. I never had fear of the creature. Second time I saw it, it was very early on a winter morning, walking to catch the bus. It was just starting to get light, and the creature was too far down the road to get a good look. This one was pure black. Still no fear. 3 years ago, I was doing a 3-day kayaking trip with my brother at Baker Lake, Washington. On one of the days, we were sitting in camp, and I heard something up through the woods a bit. My brother heard it too. He got pissed because we were trying to get away from humans. We both stood up and looked through the big old growth, and we saw a dark figure walking behind an old growth that had fallen down. I knew the Baker Lake Trail was up there, but didn't think we camped that close. We decided to check it out. We walked up the hill through the old growth, keeping our eyes on the one laying on its side. Oh my, was it big. The closer we got to the damn tree, we realized there was no way any human could walk behind it. You'd have to be over 7 feet tall. Let's not mention there was no Baker Lake Trail. I looked at my brother, his face went white. I decided it was time to get back to camp. We had no trouble or heard anything through the night. We woke the next morning with high winds and lots of chop in the water. We made the decision to cut the trip short. We packed up the boats and headed out. Hardest paddle of my life, but that's for another story. When we finally made it to the other side of the lake, something very large started crashing through the brush. I'm thinking moose. Brother said bear, but it was not the right time of day. Damn thing followed us all the way to the public boat access. We had to pull in at this spot due to 3-foot waves with whitecaps, knowing one of us would have to jog down the mountain road about 3 miles to get the truck. I'm older, so he got the short end of that, so I thought. As soon as he took off on foot down the road, I took a good look around. I quickly realized we were the only ones left in the park. It was Tuesday, and end of summer. I caught a glimpse of the big bear-proof dumpster we checked out 2 days before. Oh my, it looked like the Hulk bashed it in. I realized that no bear could do that. Before my brother left, he told me I should think about setting up camp just in case something happens and he can't make it back. That's what I set about doing. Everything got real quiet after a bit, and I heard a loud noise up on the hillside above the place we camped. Right after, another on the opposite hill. Then the squirrels started their warning chirping from one side of the woods to the other in front of me. I decided at this point to park my ass inside the brand new bear-proof porta potty. Not more than a few seconds of me setting up for the long wait, the knocking started. One knock over there, another opposite. It got louder and closer. I never seen the things, but you know it was there. The brush was thick on this side of the lake. Hearing them was not hard. I heard some grunts and one growl, and I gotta be honest, I was scared out of my mind. I was very happy having a solid building to hide in. Whatever it was stayed hidden, but I could sure hear it, or them. One was enough. At this point, I'm still telling myself, bear. I'd run into plenty of them camping at Chawawa River, Chawawa River, Chawawa River, with my folks growing up. Then I heard it way up on the hillside. It was a moan-like whooping sound. Nothing I ever heard before. It was loud and sent chills up my back. Then it all stopped. Not a sound. It few minutes later, birds were back to chirping, and the squirrel that showed up on the picnic table earlier was back in view. I decided I wasn't moving from my safe place until my brother returned, which happened about 30 minutes later. It was a fast load to the truck and get out. Needless to say, not a word was spoke all the way home. That's kind of odd, isn't it? Never in my life have had that kind of fear. I would prefer to never experience it again. I'm an avid backpacker, backcountry kayak camping, weeks at a time. Lots of thrill-seeking adventures in my short 55 years, with room for a lot more. The Baker Lake experience has changed my way of thinking when I'm out there. My guard is always up to a point, and I listen to my inner voice without question. Thank you for your time, Melissa. Okay, I read that before, but it's quite a while ago. There's going to be a shit pile of people here who didn't hear that. There you go. More members of the Club of No Return. Oh, there's another older one. All right. Okay, on that note, I got to get a little more organized with my inbox here because I don't want to keep doing repeats. I got a whole pile of emails in the bottom of this folder that aren't marked as read, though. And there's only one way, is to start reading them, right? All right, it's probably a short session today. Got to go get all my camera gear, my batteries charged up, get all my charges, get all my shit together so I can pull off filming down there smoothly, no hiccups. Get packed, deal with the horses, move some hay, and we're out of here. We're out of here. Hopefully it's a safe trip when we return. If not, oh well, it's been a fun ride, right? But anyway, I do believe there is near 100% approval on the knowledge sharing that the generous, in kind Dr. Melba Ketchum did with me for us. And that's still up on the membership slots so that we can generate funds for these people because they have been chopped due to their insistence on spreading truth and not changing it. Bravo. I'm excited to go down there. Admittedly, I'm into it. My gut's saying do it. My gut's right. I don't give a shit. My gut is right for me. I'm in tune with it. I'm getting better at it for sure. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to that. In the meantime, what else? I know I had some other things I want to share, but I just got too much in the go between my ears. So hopefully next time I do this, who knows, maybe I'll do it tonight. I don't know. I mean, we don't have much to do once we get over there and got to stay in a hotel overnight, but we'll see. Share my story at howtohunt.com. All right? Your knowledge gets shared word for word. Word for word. Yeah, I got to get moving, man. I could probably sit here and look confused for a little bit longer, but I won't. One of those days. Get it off your chest and get it to us. Share it with the people, all right? If you've got truth that your average person is scared to share due to ridicule or persecution, whatever, get it out. Get that truth out, all right? We need to wake up. Human beings need to wake up and find out our truth, all right? We really need to find out our truth and figure out why we are such dumbasses on average, to put it blatantly. We'll be back shortly.